Lauren, right?
Right now, what the Office of Open Records is recommending, because obviously we're operating under very different circumstances, they're recommending that the video and or audio be recorded and placed on the website within 24 hours of the meeting.
All right, Ed, did you get that? That's going to be an action item for you to place this video on the website within 24 hours of our meeting.
Okay.
You and Shannon can address that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So can I say, do I have to take a roll call? There's no public comment, Lauren. Is that good enough that we can move on?
So it looks like we did have another caller just join us. So if there is another, if there is some member from the public that would like to speak, now would be the appropriate time. We should give them a minute to respond, just because sometimes there's a delay.
Hello?
Sorry about that. I found the code. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, certainly. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have to get a name and an address, Lauren?
Yes.
Yes.
It's Jack Ambler, and my address is 431 East 12th.
Sir, what's your comment?
Sorry, there was no comment. You asked for a roll call. I was just here to listen to you guys and hear what's going on. I'm a local wastewater professional as well, so I was just interested to see how the meeting went. So apologies for interruption.
All of our meetings are open to the public. We actually appreciate that. Just to let you know, this is not going to be an extended meeting. Oftentimes our meetings are very detail oriented because of what's going on and other people's commitments. It's probably going to be a shorter meeting.
Awesome. No problem. Carry on. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
The minute should reflect that Felix has joined us. Felix, looks like we can hear you but not see you.
Felix?
He might be muted.
Okay, well, I'm going to continue on. So public comment, we do have a resident on the line, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. I hope you're staying safe, wearing a mask, and staying 6 feet from people, and washing your hands, and not throwing wipes down the toilet.
Same to you guys.
I do have a few things that I want to discuss, and again, I'm going to try to be brief. Ed and Shannon, I'd like to thank you both for what you're doing during this time. It's a stressful time for all of us. It's an especially stressful time for those of you that are working on the front lines, and that is exactly what you guys are doing. I appreciate both of your commitment to the job and appreciate your efforts for keeping all of our workers safe. I know, Ed, that you're going through the appropriate protocols. You're also contributing to the community, and both of you have families and friends that you need to take care of. So I just want to acknowledge both of your efforts during this time. Lauren and Nicole, I want to say the same thing to both of you. I know that this has kind of thrown a weird wrench into everybody's life, but you guys are still helping the sewer authority pursue our needed actions and agendas. So just want to give you a round of applause as well. I wanted to give the board a couple updates here. We are going to be putting together a Facebook page. I know Felix had asked about that months ago. Felix, we're actually going to do it. Ed will be running that page, and we will be having something I want to discuss. We don't have to do it tonight, but I think a board member should review what's ever posted on the Facebook page. Jane, if you want to comment on that, let me know. I know Ed's working with the borough's Facebook page. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would be happy to volunteer to do that if you would like me to. I would do.
Because I just, like the bulletin that went out, I had a graphic removed from that bulletin that showed an Asian American doctor.
Right.
I was very distressed by that. So what we put out to the public is a representation of how we conduct ourselves as a government agency. So I just want to make sure there's oversight on that.
Now, I think it's important to have 2 people read every printed document at least.
Okay, Jane, so I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. So Ed, you work with Jane on that.
Will do.
Jane, if you have a second, I did not make it to the borough meeting. I was wondering if you could give us any borough updates with regard to the sewer authority.
I think everyone was very happy with what the authority submitted. And there was discussion on, we are going through this process just like we did for every other department. And it's not clear what the outcome will be. But in the case of Upper Merion Township, they went through the whole process and ended up doing nothing. So there's many options out there and we're just going to explore them all.
Okay. And so there's nothing has moved forward at this point.
No, no. I
If you
wouldn't
could give
doubt,
us- If you could give us an update at every meeting, I'd appreciate that.
sure. I wouldn't doubt that things are going to be slowing down for a while because everyone is scrabbling to meet this new environment we're all working in.
We don't know what's going to happen.
Right, right. It is. It's
It's-
a balancing act. Other than the borough knows we're not getting our tax revenue in April or May. So that's a huge, huge disruption to our budget.
Everybody's broke. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Welcome, welcome.
And the one other thing, is Kyle on the line?
No.
I don't see him.
I'd like someone to move forward tonight on our charitable contributions. I know my charity that I like to support and the Sewer Authority has always supported is the Community Gardens. And Janine, I'd like you to speak to your charity tonight when that comes up. That is all I have. So I'll go to the next meeting. Are there any questions or reactions on the minutes from the last meeting?
No.
Lauren, we don't have to take a roll call for my chairman's minutes. It's just kind of it's right. It's not codified. I don't submit anything.
No, I mean, there's no items that the board needs to vote on. If the board wants to take a vote to accept your report, it certainly can, but it's not necessary.
Okay, thank you. So do I hear a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
I hear
I'll second.
second it. All right, we need to take a roll call vote. Shannon, can you take roll call?
Yes.
We're gonna have to roll call for every action.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
I'm texting with Felix and he's having some technical difficulties, so he still is unable to hear the board, and the board is obviously unable to hear him, so he's technically still not present at the meeting.
okay, Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Let's all in favor say aye. Yes, thank you. Okay. Is everything okay? Sorry. Okay, we're on to the finance report. I just wanted to say I appreciate Shannon or Ed, I don't know, again, you're putting more detail in the finance report, so I appreciate that. You're breaking things out more. So that's very helpful for us to go over that. And I just wanted to ask, I know we discussed this. I had two questions and then I'll let it open to anybody else. The camera repairs, I know we needed that done. That 4,200, it's approximately that takes a big chunk out of that's out of the maintenance budget.
Yes,
So that was something we didn't expect, right?
correct. We did not expect that.
Okay. So that's something, well, we're going to keep an eye on our expenses too. You're keeping separate line items for all the COVID expenses, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the waste management for the special hall was 13K. Was that when we were having filter press problems?
I believe so, yes. That was in January, was it?
Yeah, that's an unusual expense for us, right?
It is, yes.
And the total bills, Ed, I believe is 363,926. Is that correct?
Yes,
I
and
do.
92 cents.
And 92 cents. I just want to make sure I'm reading it right. Sometimes I Thanks, Shannon. I appreciate that. Does anyone else have any questions on the finance, please?
No, Carol, I had the same question as you about the $13,000 waste removal, but other than that, I'm fine.
Okay, so can we have a roll call to, can someone make a motion to accept the finance report?
Make a
I'll make
motion.
that motion. Jane, we can alternate if you want until Felix joins us.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so I'll
Can
make
you
the motion
hear
this
me?
time.
Yes, I think we just heard Felix.
There we go.
Thanks.
I called in. I'm having issues. I see video, but I can't connect the audio for some reason. So I did a call in, and now I'm online.
Well, we just went over the finance, we went over public comment, chairman's minutes. We just went over the finance report, Felix, and we were just doing a roll call to accept having bills paid in the amount of $363,926.92.
I made a motion, Felix. It's Janine to accept.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, and Felix, tonight for every event, we're taking a roll call because we're taping this for the website.
Okay.
I would also leave Felix know that there is a member of the public on the call as well.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so roll call would be Janine Riley,
Yes.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Mundo,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And Ms. Smith, we do have to ratify the board's decision to pay the March bills, which was done at an executive session, which I'll summarize during my report. It would be an appropriate time to ratify the decision to pay the March bills. I apologize, the number is escaping my my recollection at this moment.
$363,926.92.
No, that's this month's bills.
That's the March bills that
That's the March bill.
That's the one.
That's because that's the agenda we have for March 24th.
Yes.
I think you accepted the finance report, but I didn't hear a separate motion to pay the bills.
To pay the
That's
bills.
Oh, gotcha. I misworded it.
that's okay.
So do I hear a motion to pay the bills in set amount?
I'll make the motion to pay the bills in the set amount.
And I will second that motion.
Okay, roll call, please, Shannon. I'm sorry.
Nope, that's okay. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. We need a motion to accept the finance report, Lauren, right?
You already did a motion to the finance report, so you're good to move on.
Okay, solicitors report, please.
Certainly. And with the solicitor's report, I'm going to start with ratifying a couple of decisions that were made. The board did meet in executive session via conference call on March 24th, which should be reflected in the minutes. And there were a couple of essential business items that were approved at that time, which we would need to ratify now. The next one would be the approval of Sora West's request for an extension of the deadline to pay their tapping fees. So a motion to ratify that decision would be in order.
Do I hear a motion to ratify that decision?
I'll make that motion.
Hear a second?
I'll second.
Crazy beat.
What's that noise we're hearing?
Okay, seems to have stopped. No.
Coming from caller number 2, which I believe is Fred.
And he has muted himself, so it sounds to have stopped.
Well, I muted him, actually. I want to.
Power, the control.
Executive decision.
All right, can I get a roll call, Shannon, for that motion for Soros West?
Yes. It's Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Carol Smith.
Yes.
Okay, the next item to be ratified is going to be the approval of a resolution recognizing the declarations of emergency issued by the federal government, state, county, and borough of Conshohocken, and authorizing the authority staff to implement emergency procedures as needed. A motion to ratify that decision would be in order.
I'll make that motion.
Second, please.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Okay. Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Felix Raimondo.
Yes.
Janine Riley.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Next, the board did meet an executive session, or not really executive session, but did meet with a quorum on March 31st in a video conference. Business or deliberation occurred. The purpose was to test the functionality of the virtual platform and schedule the time and date of this kind's meeting. Finally, as everyone is aware, on Friday, the authority implemented a rollout of payment plan payment deadline extensions for the remainder of the 2020 calendar year. We have provided a copy of a resolution which would formalize the implementation of that program. So a motion to approve that resolution would be in order at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Oops.
Second.
I'll second.
Shannon, a roll call.
Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Felix Raimondo.
Yes.
Janine Riley.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Okay, and along with that, we were reviewing this, and it may be something the board wants to consider having a letter from the board chair going out to all ratepayers to make sure that they're aware of the payment plan extension deadlines. So if the board is of a mind to do that, we can assist in drafting a letter for Carol's signature and working with Ed to get that out to all ratepayers in both Conshohocken and West Conshohocken.
I'd like to know what the board thinks about that.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's actually a probably pretty good idea.
I do too, because not many people read the newspaper and not everyone's on Facebook.
Okay. Could we make it a two-pager? I mean, I would really like to send another notice out to people to wash your hands and only put toilet paper in the toilets and don't.
Certainly, yeah. I think what we'll do is, Carl, if you're okay with it, we'll take a stab at putting something together, and then we can kind of go back and forth and come up with something that gets the message out.
I'm on lockdown. Yep.
All right, so we'll get something over to you tomorrow.
All right. Thank you.
Other than that, we do have some more routine matters, which I will turn over to Nicole to walk the board.
Yes. So on our agenda from March, we had some items that have carried over. So we would be asking the board to authorize Ed to sign developer easement agreements. This is something that previously Steve had been authorized to do. This is just easement agreements for developers, not for residential properties. So we would be asking for approval of a resolution authorizing Ed to execute those agreements.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Felix Raimondo. Felix.
A little red triangle with a.
Oh, he's muted.
No, it's not muted. He's got like an emergency triangle on his screen.
How about now? Can you hear me?
There you go.
I didn't do it.
Well, I don't know if you're hearing me through the phone or through the computer. So I hear you through my phone.
Hey, Felix. We got you. You got an owl behind you.
An owl. Yes, that's some creative artwork. So, yes, I'm in favor.
Okay. And Janine Riley.
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
Next, we would be asking for the board's approval of a deed of easement that was received from Sora West, which was executed by Ed on March 12th, 2020.
Your motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And next, we would be asking for the board to approve Ed's execution of an affidavit of lost or stolen letter of credit, which was received for the Sora West project and was executed by Ed on March 6th. This was due to the fact that we did not ever receive the letter of credit from that project. They think they may have accidentally submitted it to the borough, but in any event, it was not able to be located. So they did require us to execute that affidavit to protect themselves in the event that the original one is ever located.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that
Make a
motion.
motion.
All right, I'll second Felix.
There you go.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And then finally, the last thing would be the approval of a resolution to release the professional services escrow to Conshohocken Construction, Inc. This is for the project located at 304 East Hector Street, also known as Glassworks. The solicitor's report does indicate that this approval would be pending the engineer's final approval letter, and that approval letter did go out on March 20th.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
I'll second it.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And that's all we have this evening.
Do I hear a motion to accept the solicitor's report?
I'll make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. Before we get to Fred's report, I just want to wish our board member Felix a happy belated birthday. So anyway, Fred, you're up.
Okay, three main items tonight. First one is that the Chapter 94 reports were timely submitted to the DEP. As we went over in the February board meeting, they were very clean, no hydraulic overloads. Our amount of infiltration inflow is extremely low at about 3 to 5%. It's amazing how tight and our system is. It was much more accurate with the EDU audit, and our flow per EDU was very, came in exactly where it should be, and our organic loading was textbook. So that's item one. Item two was on the operation of the treatment plant, and Ed will expand on this, but it's gone very well. We actually had a mechanical failure of one of our two final clarifiers. We were able to take that down, transfer all the sludge into the other one, and stayed within permit the entire time. We were a third of our permit limits, so that was very good. Also on the operations, we're trying to improve our sludge efficiency, so we're actually starting to increase our decanting of our aerobic digesters so that we're processing less sludge. The hope is to be able to reduce both the volume and the number of days per week that our guys have to operate this. This is extremely important now with working on a rotating staff, but we've done that a couple of days, positive results, but we really need to see what it looks like over a month. But operations of the treatment plant is going extremely well. The last item is on development related, is Sora West did have its pre-construction meeting today. They did receive a waiver from the governor to continue work, so they will be starting work on the connection of the laterals from that project to the public sewer system in the coming weeks. And that completes my report unless the board has any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Ed?
No.
Ed, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Nope, I don't have any.
Yep.
No
And what we're going to
questions
do is, the sludge analysis and rate of return, we'll wait till we have a physical meeting because that's a very important topic that I really want the board to understand, and hopefully we can do that on a face-to-face. If it doesn't look like it's going to be an extended period, I'll put a report out well in advance of the board meeting so the board can thoroughly review it prior to having that open discussion.
Good.
Great. Thanks, Fred.
Fred,
Thanks, Fred.
is there a motion to accept the engineering report?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a
I'll second it.
Roll
I'll
call.
second it.
Thank you.
Okay. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.
And Ms. Smith, just before we move on to the operator and the operator manager's report, I did forget one item on our report. We received an application from SEPTA for the property that is next to the Matson Mill project. I spoke with their attorney and they have some questions about the professional services agreement, which is fine, but they have put in a request to waive the escrow deposit requirement with the authority. They did indicate that they made a similar request to the borough and that the borough had approved that and they have not posted an escrow with the borough. I have no problem with it. SEPTA, is good for their agreements. As long as we have an agreement in place, we do have a mechanism of getting those funds. And I'll ask Fred to weigh in if he's agreeable to that, since it is primarily our office and Fred's office that would be a delay in payment on those invoices.
Fred, do you have any comment on that?
Do not have a problem with that at all. Absolutely not.
Okay, that's commonly done. The borough has also done it. So what do you need from us? Do you need a
I
roll
just need
call?
approval to waive that requirement, and then we'll go ahead and finalize that agreement with SEPTA, and that'll be in front of the board likely at your next meeting.
That's just a roll call, right?
Yes.
Can we have a roll call to approve that?
Sure. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. All right, Ed, you're up for the directors and the maintenance and well, we'll do them separately. The director's report, please.
Okay. For the second week of February, we did have a discharge violation with our total suspended solids. And Fred and I worked together. We made a series of adjustments and we bounced right back into compliance. And we've had, as Fred was saying, we're really fortunate. Everything's running really well. Our decisions are working, and no other violations since then. Happy to report. I worked with Fred conducting tours for potential bidders for the facility. Let's see. We scheduled and conducted interviews for hiring a utility person, and we did make a selection. That person was Sean Berge.
And I'm going to recommend that we wait to we have that discussion in executive session. We do have members of the public present this evening, as well as Fred. So personnel should be discussed in executive session.
At the end, yep.
Okay, we created a hard hat policy, which everybody's hard hats are up to date. Let's see, we had $197.72 in penalties reversed for the month.
And can I just, I want to say something. I appreciate that you put that hard hat policy in place. We talked about this, I believe at the last meeting. They're color coded so people can identify what the status of the people are who are wearing them, including visitors. I also wanted a status update on the protocol we put in place on March 9th. People are wearing safety glasses and gloves and appropriate safety equipment and the plant is being sanitized on a regular basis?
Absolutely, yes. I put together a similar program, a written procedure for the safety glasses as well. Everybody was issued a new pair, and the guys are wearing them along with the hard hats. So it's been working out really well.
Good, thank you.
I have a question. Do the guys all wear like safety boots also? Is that part of their uniform? Okay, and is that
Yes.
part of their allowance? Do they get?
Yes,
money
it is.
a year?
That's correct.
Okay, good.
Yeah, Jane, they get a uniform allowance per year
Good.
for their clothing and their shoes, and yes.
Mhm. Thank you.
Sure.
I believe the last thing I had was the staff prepared a total of 15 source nurse certifications for the month. That's all I have.
One other thing. Wanted to change the bill design, the Harris for the bill.
Yeah, that was in the packet. I saw that.
So just need approval for them to go forward with it if we want to change the bill so that it has consumption.
We had asked for this before, right, Shannon, that we wanted to break it out more, and it's not very expensive. It looks like it's less than $500 for Harris Systems to put it in place.
It's a little less than 800.
800, I'm sorry, I guess I didn't see the full breakout, which is why we need that in the bills.
Yeah, so it would make it so there's a service fee and a consumption fee, two separate line items on the bill.
So do we need a roll call for that because we're going to spend money, Lauren?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yes, and we're recommending roll call for everything this evening, so I would.
I'm sorry, I know.
That's okay.
That was a brain fart. But yes, we had talked about this at a previous meeting. Does the board remember about this, that we wanted to have the billing broken out a little bit more for our residents?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so Shannon, do you want to take a roll call for payment of that bill to have Harris Systems update our billing?
Sure. Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. All right, Ed, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Snuck in the end of your report there.
Sorry, forgot.
Well, that's the end of my report.
Right. Anyone else have any questions for Ed?
No.
Again, Ed, I just want to thank you. You know, you came on board during a crazy time, and so thanks for keeping everything going there.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I hear we get a roll call.
A motion to approve the report?
Yes, please. Thank you. And then a roll call.
I'll make a motion
I'll
to
second.
accept the
Okay.
Report, yeah.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. And Ed, do you want to present the operations collections?
Oh, hold on a second. Yes, reports were submitted by both the collections department and our maintenance department. And the bulk of it is, the maintenance stuff is our day-to-day PM. They call them PMs, preventative maintenances. They literally come out of the printer every morning. They're predetermined and pre-scheduled. It helps keep up with all our maintenance so we don't miss anything. And the collections report is the bulk of that. It is just, I'm trying to think of February. There's a lot of responding to the.
Ed, I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. This is Kyle. I know I'm right on time. I apologize for the delay. Hello.
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 But Ed, there is nothing unusual in maintenance or operations and collections this period, right?
Not at all.
Does anybody have any questions on that report? If not, we'll take a roll call vote. Do I hear a motion to accept the maintenance report?
So
Make
moved.
a motion to accept the maintenance and collections.
I'll second.
Okay, Shannon, can we get a roll call? Thank you.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
So before we adjourn the meeting and go into executive session, and for anyone who's calling in from our community, executive session is where we have to discuss pertinent personnel issues and other issues that are not privy to the public. Just to let you know that. There is one item I'd like to bring up before we go into executive session. We have a budget item for charitable contributions. I would like to propose that for my charity that I usually try to support, that the Sewer Authority, which has donated the land for the community garden, present it with a $1,000 grant, as it has done for the past few years.
Do you need a
I'll make
motion?
that as a motion.
But we need a motion, a second motion, and a roll call. And Janine, I also know has a community activity that she supports.
Yes. So Felix made the motion. I would second.
Okay. Jane Flanagan.
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes. And Kyle, I was curious if you had seen the sign.
Oh, the sign looks great. Yes,
Good.
it does. It does. You guys did a great job on that.
All right. And Janine?
Yep. Well, since we're talking charitable organizations, the organization that I've proposed, I think the last 2 years, and again, the board has been generous enough to support, it has been the Conshohocken Elementary School PTO. Again, this year, similar to most charitable organizations, I think they could utilize our donations more than any, because this spring is generally a very large fundraising time for the school, with the school carnival and different, spring events, book fairs, things like that. And obviously they're not going to occur this year. So I would like to ask the board to again make the charitable donation of $1,000 that they've made in prior years.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second it.
Roll call.
Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Thank you.
Yes. Right, so Lauren, to go into executive session,
Yeah, the board
do that.
The board can take a vote to adjourn into executive session, and then we can ask, once that vote is taken, we can ask Fred and our president to please disconnect, and then we can just stay on this line.
And how do we ensure that that is the case, not to be untrustworthy?
I'm sorry, I can see from the side, there's a little dashboard here.
Okay, okay. You have the control. All right, I'd like to hear a motion to adjourn the meeting and go into executive session.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
And roll call, please.
Sure. Jane Flanagan,
Yes.
Felix Raimondo,
Yes.
Kyle Elliott,
Yes.
Janine Riley,
Yes.
Carol Smith.
Yes.